All right, what's up, everybody? So sorry for the late start. I'm a couple minutes late. My bad. But we got some stuff on the docket today. That is for sure. That is for sure. So we have a couple things that we're obviously going to talk about. I kind of mentioned on Twitter what the intentions are as far as what we are going to be discussing. Just to give a heads up if nobody has seen that yet. But basically, we're going to be going over the CNC pommel situation. And then we're also going to be mentioning the um the kind of card prices on release day due to an event being that same day. We're going to kind of discuss that. And what I hope to do, what my goal is to kind of just talk with the community and try to provide a logical framework at which people can I don't ever want to tell people what to think. I just want to logically present information and data or ideas and let you weigh that how you seem appropriate and go off of that is kind of all of my intentions. Sorry, I am actively looking for something for a data point, and da, 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 da. Do, 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 do. Sorry, chat. Also, one thing that I want to do is after we talk about that, what we're going to discuss is just my first day casting this past event, which was an absolute blast. We're just going to talk about it. Probably not spend too much time on it, but just kind of, it was big. It was big. So we're going to talk about it. And then also, we're going to kind of revisit the tier list, talk about some evolutions, and kind of we're gonna discuss some things that might surprise you. I think a lot of people are expecting me to say that, flip the script and Cindra's the best deck kind of situation. I do not believe that to be true. I think this is an early evolution that's kind of to be expected, and we'll dig more into that. Sorry, I'm still looking for something. Um, but I think that it's an early evolution that is very temporary, if um, if that makes sense. And also, after that, what I want to do is give everybody in chat the opportunity, because this is basically RTN season, right? And there are people with local metas that are very specific, right? And maybe you're on the fence about certain sideboarding decisions. I've done this several times where you ask anything you want in chat at that time. Please don't do it now. You might say, I can choose between Bolton and Azalea. This is my local meta. What should I do? Or, I'm playing Viserai. How should I build it versus this meta? And I'm going to answer your questions to the best of my ability and give you the absolute best chance for your RTNs. But we're going to do that after the tier list discussion. So we're going to move pretty quick through these topics. We're not planning on spending a whole lot of time. Is kind of the idea. How far back was that event? Holy shoot. What was the date on this? Sorry, I should have done this before. But guess what? I didn't. And that's on me. So therefore, I basically can't use it as a data point. So sucks to suck, I guess. Okay, so I am now done with that. Stream, you have my full undivided attention. I apologize. Let me get caught up in the chat. Wait, TheCardGuyz tier list is wrong? Gasp, this never happens. Yeah. it's kind of a meme at this point that a hero in C tier is going to do something cool. So you want to roll the dice, basically, you know, pick the one of 8 that are in C tier, and hey, you might have chosen correctly. Present information you said. Oh man. Yeah. For the pummel discussion, don't worry about bringing your sunglasses because I'm bringing the shade. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. We're taking a very logical approach, and I, I think people on both sides are extremely right and extremely wrong all at the same time, and it's actually impressive how much they are. If I'm being completely honest. Huntsman is the best deck in my heart. Ugh. We do a vibes-based tier list. We might have to do that sometime. What up? What up? Oh, I also didn't. Oh my goodness, God. I've been so scrambled today. We didn't share anything. Oh my goodness. How do we expect people to be here? How do we? How do we? We gotta put that there. I'm so sorry, chat. I'm doing my best. I promise. Give me 15 seconds. We're actually gonna start. Believe it or not. Okay. So now that that's done, we can minimize. Okay, we are good to go. Let me finish looking at chat. What up, Nathan? What a fun time last weekend. Absolutely. It was an absolute blast to be able to play an event and be able to commentate. It was an absolute blast. Got some more dad jokes for us today. We might have one or two. I just think Cindra's a good pick. Just like Kano. Targeted meta, it folds. Yep, exactly. Might be the first Nat season I don't qualify for. I've got exactly one attempt before I get deployed. Oh no, where are you getting deployed? In what branch? I used to be Navy. Used to be in the Navy. I know all about the deployments. Do you think Enigma gonna LL this RTN season? Probably not Enigma, to be honest. Okay, so we're actually here. We're actually gonna start now. Believe it or not. Sorry, I was so scrambled. I apologize. We're actually gonna do it. Okay. Who's Frab? Okay. So we got to talk about the pummel situation. Navy. What's your rate? What's your rate? I was an AG. Okay. So here we go. The pummel situation. Let me give context first for anybody that may not be familiar with the situation. Basically, what happened was Brody was playing against an opponent for a win again for top 8, so the round before last. And basically, there was a tense situation toward the end of the game where a CNC was presented. Now, it's a very important piece of information that the Enigma player just took a bunch of damage and had literally like a 5-card hand, right? Or 4 cards in an arsenal. And anytime Enigma does that and they're playing a mirror guy on the traverse situation, so 6-card hand, sorry, they had a 6-card hand, okay, with traverse. Basically played mirror guy, attacked with it, and then played CNC and had like 2 cards in hand, okay? Maybe 1 card, I'm not, but it was like a very obvious. The point I'm getting at is if you're a competitive player, it was a very obvious pummel on the CNC. Now, it's a very drastic on hit, and that does require a lot of thinking on what you're actively going to do when that happens. Okay, I just wanted to set the context that it was not a tunic counter pummel situation. It was like, yeah, this is happening kind of thing, which doesn't change the complexity of the block. It does, because it basically cuts the options in half, essentially. So basically what's happening is there is a long tank, basically thinking for a long time, and then there is a warning issued, and this is where it's hard, because I've heard two different and I've reached out to so many people on the subject, right? And obviously anybody that has seen the Runaways podcast, they mentioned that there was a tanking session in the pummel. I have somebody that literally watched it happen, that was standing behind the Enigma player, said that there was no tanking in that period of time. They said that the only tanking was on blocks, not in reactions, and that's very different. I'm not saying one person's right. I'm not saying the other person's wrong. All I'm saying is that I've been told two different things. Simple as that. So it's up to you for interpretation, or whatever the case may be. That's all I'm saying. Okay? Because the two situations are drastically different on when the tanking occurs. And why does it matter? Well, the Cindra deck literally does not have a game action in reactions other than the boots or the hero ability, which make no sense in an almost all red deck. There's no logical reason to activate the hero ability, because that's the only thing you literally can do in reactions with that deck, right? Which is very important. So if tanking in reactions is true, there is no decision point to be made other than which card you're discarding from pummel. That is the only decision point you could possibly be thinking about playing that deck in that situation. Okay? However, let's say we do not subscribe to that happening, and that all the tanking happened in blocks. Okay? And basically, the situation was they got two warnings effectively, and then the trigger was missed by the Enigma player, which is, obvious at this point. And immediately drew up their hand, and Brody began playing his turn. They caught it, judge got involved, and, the rest is kind of history. There's this very important note on the judge situation, that the judge stepped in and basically said, you missed your trigger. And then Brody turned and looked and said, are you not, you're not supposed to, like interact in the game in that way, and which I'm not sure is true or not. I don't know. We're about to look into the rules and kind of, prove or disprove that. And then the head judge got involved, and they declared that there would be no rewind. Okay, so that's the context that everybody needs to know. There's kind of two situations that I'm unsure. I'm just putting them out there. I don't know exactly which one happened, although both stories came from people literally watching it happen. So people make mistakes, even witnessing stuff. That's the story there, right? Okay. Now, let's dig into the fun stuff. Who fucked up? That's what we're here to discuss. Basically, we don't care about anything else really. We just want to know who should be held accountable, and as a community, how should we get that accountability? That's basically what everybody wants, and that's what we're gonna do. Okay. So, first things first. If you're in the camp that you know, Brody should be held accountable due to the mistrigger. I hate to break it to you, but by all rules and definition of rules, he played it to a T. Simple as that. Everything regarding a trigger was played to a T by the current rules written in flesh and blood. Okay, we're going to move over to literally the comprehensive rules, and where basically mistriggers are not required to be acknowledged by the opponent. Because the reason that the rule is that way, essentially, is if that was true, then you would have to know not only every trigger in your deck, but you'd have to know every trigger in your opponent's deck, and that's very difficult to do. And so that's the most logical way to, to have the rules written, which is perfectly reasonable, right? That seems logical. Okay. Now let's take another step forward. Okay. So we've acknowledged that the trigger situation, missing a trigger and Brody not acknowledging the trigger, is not in any way a punishable offense, nor should it's literally no different than them missing a tunic counter and your opponent not letting you tick it up later in the game. Some people will let you do it, some people won't. It does not really matter. Okay? Happens all the time. Okay? It's just competitive TCGs at this point. Now, where it gets interesting is where the whole part where the judge got involved and Brody came back with the fact that, are you not supposed to be doing that? And right here in the roles and responsibility under tournament rules and policies, it says a floor judge is responsible for pausing and investigating games when an infraction is observed. Okay, by this definition, a missed trigger is an infraction. Therefore, the judge has the right to investigate that game. Pause and investigate that game. Okay? Plain and simple. This is literally what it says. I don't know how to, sure, there's some error that's possible in interpretation, but this seems pretty straightforward. They have literally the ability to pause and investigate games. Okay, so if a mistrigger, which is an infraction identified here, okay. In fact, we could probably go up to the top and it's probably listed. It literally listed, right? Yeah, under an infraction. So it's a gameplay infraction, and the language used here, when an infraction is observed. Boom. The judge was in the right to stop the game and question the trigger. Now, there's been some discussion on the situation where basically the judges shouldn't be playing the game for us, and that's a whole thing that, that's something that LSS has to solve, right? Let me get caught up in chat real quick. Let me pause my thought process, but it goes deeper. I think it can be stressful if the opponent takes very long time, then goes very fast. I'm surprised how much repercussion this had. Who messed up? Yes, yeah, and that's what we're trying to figure out. It's within the rules, but a floor judge not being able to call a rewind miss beneficial trigger is absurd to me. And I agree, Justin. But by here, they should. Literally, this right here says that they should be able to do that. Issue rulings and apply appropriate procedures, which would be a rewind and penalties. So maybe there was a miscommunication on who couldn't do that. But now we all play the game to a T, and no event ever gets finished because yeah, and then we're gonna get to that. We're going to get to that, right? I think the rules were correct, but how long he had to spend on blocks before his problem. And I also have a solution at the end that I'm going to present that I think can take care of a lot of this situation. And comparing what happened to Miss Tunic Trigger seems a bit disingenuous. I mean, yes, right, because it's beneficial to yourself and it's your trigger. I do agree. I mean, there are missed triggers all day, right? Everything from not drawing a card off Plunder Run back in the day. I mean, there was stuff always happening on. Sure, it was not the best example. I do agree, but a missed trigger is a missed trigger. The rules also state 3 warnings for soap. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. Absolutely. So, okay. Now, so we've identified that missing a trigger is not a problem. Shit happens all the time. We identified that the judge was in the right for stopping the game and asking about the trigger. Now, let's get into the slow play policy. Okay. Now, the community, how do I put this? The community has been very adamant towards certain individuals about slow play. Simple as that. And, you know, this is I guess first this is the rules that are set up from LSS literally in the handbook for what they should do with the slow play. And the process is a caution into a warning, then you get an actual like I don't want to say this the wrong way, but like a real punishment, like something that actively hinders you in the game. So yeah, after 2 warnings, so you have to get a caution, a warning, then you get a game loss. So your first real punishment is the 4th offense. Now, these carry over all in the same tournament. So you could get a caution in game 1, a warning in game 4, a warning in game 7, and then a game loss in game 10, right? It is basically how it works. The problem is if nobody gets a warning or a caution, you can basically just bank those in one game. You can literally, under this situation, you can sit there and almost like if you've ever used or if you've ever watched poker, how they have like the time chips. It's literally just like that, where you can sit there, the judge will say, you need to take a game action. And then that's like your caution, right? Or technically I think the normal way a judge would handle it is they would tell you need to make a play, basically indicating that they are investigating you for slow play. And if you don't make one, they say, we're issuing a caution. And then after that, if you have not made a game action, then you would get a warning, and then you would get another warning, and then you would get whatever comes after that, game loss. So with that being said, I mean, you can literally just use them like time banks in poker. Literally, just sit there and tank and ignore the judge. And there's nothing in the rules that they can really do. The only thing that's really up for interpretation in that event is the time in which what's the appropriate amount of time between warnings. It is the only thing really at that point up for interpretation or judgment. So, the biggest, we've already identified that nobody's in the wrong for missing a trigger, period. End of story. End of discussion in that aspect. Slow play is a valid argument, okay? Somebody actively, and LSS, we have receipts of LSS and the impact, right? Here is the Back Alley Oracle number 14 with the Forked Lightning concessions and more is the name of the article. And they basically, this is the most important paragraph in this situation. And it basically said it's them acknowledging the impact of slow play, right? And the crazy part is this paragraph only factors in half of the disadvantage associated with slow play. And let me explain the other half. So obviously the likelihood opponent will lose focus or concentration is one, aka missing a trigger. But the second benefit that you get from slow playing your opponent is think of the chess clock analogy where you just get more of the time, right? There's 50 minutes in a match, and if you spent 45 minutes thinking and they spent 5 minutes thinking, you're on average your lines are going to be better, right? Because you had more time to think out your lines, so you used a disproportional amount of time. Now, obviously, it's not like straightforward, like everybody should get 25 minutes because different decks require more time or different play styles render the time being used on your opponent instead of yourself and things of that nature, right? So it's not a very straightforward thing, but you can just understand the concept that the more time you use, the less time your opponent has to think, aka they make mistakes. Very easy, and that's like the two advantages of utilizing slow play. And this is a receipt of LSS acknowledging one of those. Okay, literally, just the inability to remember triggers due to it being increasingly taxing. So, ultimately, what I think the problem is, yeah, no, you don't want chess clocks. Anybody who suggests chess clocks in Fab has not thought about the solution more than 15 seconds. Chess clocks, bad idea. I was just saying that to explain the using more time analogy. Chess clocks in Fab, horrible idea. Never do that. Never ever recommend that. No, we do not need chess clocks. Not the solution that I'm recommending. God, no, that would be horrible. So the problem lies here in the punishment for this, okay? And I'm going to make an assumption, and please do not take this out of context, anybody. We're literally making a assumption. Let's just assume that Brody knew this policy to a T and executed his game actions under the knowledge of, like what if he was sitting there thinking, oh yeah, I get one more warning before anything happens. Let me keep thinking. There's the second warning. Okay, I'll block. There's nothing wrong with that. Doing that is within the rules. If you're playing within the rules, welcome to the game. Like, I understand that it could be interpreted as unsportsmanlike and things like that, 100%. The point that I'm trying to get at is the rules in this exact frame, aka slow play, they're kind of bad. They're kind of dog shit, to be honest. And my like, I would be willing to bet that game was the first time anybody ever in a tournament of Flesh and Blood got 2 warnings on slow play. One, it's the hardest rule to ever enforce in the game of Flesh and Blood, period. Anybody else want to argue for something else? I'm all ears. But currently, like, it is the hardest rule to enforce. So basically, what you're asking the community to do as a whole under this procedure and penalty policy is you want you have the barrier that some people don't like calling a judge. It's actually very common. And you have the situation where like I said, they don't like calling judges. So you have to run into four situations. I mean, I'm gonna say something that might get me in trouble, but like nobody's changing their behavior because of a warning, right? It's always they're changing their behavior because of the possibility that the warning goes to something else. So if somebody is so familiar with the policy that they can operate and manipulate that in a certain way, then there's no real threat of the warning. The warning achieves no goal under the policy. Now, that's not the case for everybody because very casual players and stuff like that, like a warning is a big deal, right? It's like, whoa, what is this kind of thing, you know? So you have to have people that are willing to call a judge on one person 4 times. Let's say 50% of the player base is comfortable calling a judge for slow play, which is probably a fair number. You know, and then so when you call a judge for slow play, they have to come to the table and they can't just like automatically assume slow play has happened. They have to investigate, watch the game, occur a lengthy time process for a decision, and there goes the indication for slow play. You can't just issue a ruling off of like what this person said. I don't think you can anyway. I need to preface all of this with I'm not a fucking judge. This is just my opinion as a competitive player. So you have to have 50% of the player base willing to call a judge, and then they have to go to the table, identify slow play after the person has been acknowledged there is a judge standing over their shoulder, and then they need to do it 3 more times. You need that 50% of people to call a judge 3 more times, and then that person also 3 more times. You see what I'm saying? How much it actually takes to execute a warning on slow play? Like, it's actually absurd. And it's almost a meme, if I'm being honest, right? Because, like I said, I would be willing to bet that event was the first time in Flesh and Blood somebody got 2 warnings in one tournament for slow play. I'd put $100 on it. Assuming that the judge went caution, warning, and then warning. So, my solution to this whole fucking situation that is completely fucked, 6 ways to Sunday, is literally, please have a system in place that carries over warnings. Not just day to day. I'm talking week to week, month to month, whatever the case may be. It's that simple. Yes, you have to build a database that has people's names in it. And hell, you can get fancy with it. You can say, okay, if you don't commit this action in 6 months, 1 drops off. Like we can go crazy with it, right? You can tailor it as much as you want. But I promise you, that situation does not happen if they have even just 1 warning already in the bank, right? Or they get a second one, and then the next tournament that they play, they get a game loss. I guarantee you, Brody's the first person to the restroom the next game. I guarantee you. And once again, it's if Brody is playing within the rules, not his fucking fault. Like, it's that simple. So, literally, like, you just literally hold, like, okay, a judge sits there and says, you've been issued a warning for slow play. They should then be able to pull out their phone, have access to something in gym to where it has like a penalty profile for the player. Boop, you click on it, shows up, and you can say, okay, just like police officers pulling up your license and seeing the last speeding tickets you've had in 2 years. Same fucking shit. Okay? And boom, it goes on there, done, right? You still protect casual players from getting hit with a stray because they would have literally gotten 3 warnings before anything actually bad happens, right? You also reinforce to players, hey, stop fucking up your deck list, right? You get to say, all right, this is an infraction for your deck list. We're putting it in your profile. If you do this 4 times ever, pick your own parameters. Doesn't fucking matter. If you do it 4 times in 6 months, you're going to get a game loss instead of an IP2 because we're tired of doing this, right? And I like, please chat, tell me if I'm just crazy for that idea. But literally, I don't see how that doesn't provide a situation. Let me get caught up in chat. I think the community will learn to be aggressive when it comes to time. Absolutely. But once again, like, there's so many pieces where you're basically depending on the player base to enforce that rule. That's ultimately what happens. This phrasing is going to get me in trouble, but it really isn't. Unless a match has gone to time or you're on a stream game, the judge is not initiating the slow play process. Uh-oh, we dropping frames. Sorry, we are dropping frames. Okay, we seem to have stabilized. Yeah, seems to be good now. Thank you, Kyle, for letting me know. I can't hold all these frames. I think judges need body cams. Yeah, no, definitely not. Definitely not. Okay, let me get caught up in chat. Definitely was dropping. Nate, your commentary was godlike, by the way, at Memphis. Keep it up. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the kind words. I really appreciate it. AOL, bro. I would kill to have AOL. My internet's so bad, bro. The stabilization station. Oh man, but yeah. Yeah, so chat, you basically agreed with me, kind of, sort of, that like they should just add it to gym player profile, right? You just add a section that says, warnings. Hell, let the players go look at it. Let them learn from their mistake, you know? But currently, there's no way that an individual can get a match loss realistically unless they're just. I'm gonna be honest. Like, you just have to, like, want one to get a match loss for slow play. And if you have to just want a penalty to physically be able to get one, there is no punishment. There just isn't. Um, like literally that simple. Just because some judges weren't brave enough to cross LSS Golden Boy doesn't mean he didn't break the rules. Once again, I think a rule was broken for slow play. 100%, 110%. And also, we identified that he was wrong on the judge's ability to jump in. So he was wrong on 2 accords, in my opinion. I think slow play was a situation. Obviously, the miss triggers is not a miss. That is completely clean. But yes, he was wrong on the judge's ability to interact based on LSS policy. And then second, you know, is what it is. Second is, sorry, I'm getting distracted by chat. Right next to PTI is your gym profile infraction points. I mean, I don't want to do a point system because I I I think it should stay categorized, right? Like it should be individual to the infraction. So if somebody gets a warning for deck list error or slow play or whatever else, like you're not punished because you made a different mistake. You can't, just because you got punished for slow play, that doesn't reinforce or educate you to not make a deck list error. Doesn't make any sense. So I don't like the idea of like total points as long as it is kind of siloed off into individual things. But that is my solution that I want to, you can watch a video of people playing fast to get a point off your record. That's a good one, Blake. Sorry I got to it late, but that was a good one. That was a good one. Oh man. Oh man. Can't hold all these frames. I had one bad experience where I lost to a slow playing Azuri on my winning end. They took 2 to 3 minutes per turn each cycle. Yep. It does happen. I just want discussion of sportsmanship from LSS. The community has basically forced LSS to to respond in this in some way. I'm not sure how they're going to, but I can guarantee that it's going to happen. They've kind of forced that pretty well, which is once again, I want to kind of say that the way that the community has handled this situation, there's some shit posters, right? There's some trolls. That's the situation with everything. If something is widely deemed unacceptable by the community, they should voice it. Whether it is within the policy, outside the policy, on top of the policy, below it, doesn't fucking matter. If something is widely agreed on in the community, and once again, that is a relative statement. I'm not saying just because 100 to 200, people complain on Twitter, that is the majority. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that, you if enough people voice their opinion, it kind of forces LSS to at least think about it and reevaluate. And that, I think, is where innovation can be had or just potential for growth. Maybe nothing changes, but we get past this situation and learn from it. And that's like, that's a win-win for pretty much everybody. Best breakdown I've heard so far, and it's a great idea. I appreciate it. I don't like to make a complaint and not provide a. I'm not saying that it's a perfect solution. I'm just saying that it's better than chess clocks. I could guarantee you that. But it's like a well thought out. Like, okay, it's something like, I don't know, LSS could like sit down and talk about. It's not a terrible idea. Is it perfect? God, no. Does it need 13 and a half pounds of Refinement, probably. But it's like, I don't know. It's worth a discussion point. I don't know. Just a thought process. Yeah, sorry. The audio was probably cutting because I was dropping frames, but we got the hamsters in order and they are back running. So we're in there. We are in there. Duh, 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 duh. International Fab Criminal Database. Okay, all right. I think your logic is flawed because Brody got away with it. Does not mean it's within the rules. If I run every red light, don't get pulled over, am I following the laws? No, you would not be. What did Brody get away with? Because the judges issued every warning by policy, right? They gave him a caution, they gave him a warning, and if I'm not mistaken, they gave him a second warning. So he got every punishment that LSS has designed to give to that point. He has received every one of them. So I disagree with the statement that he got away with anything. Is kind of my fundamental premise. I think judges need to be a little bit more vigilant when pausing a game too. Make sure it's noted what was going on before resuming. So that I 100% agree. And that's why the head judge was called. When that happened, pause the game, mention the triggers, head judge came over. Boom. Everything happened like it was supposed to. I personally do not know why the game state was not rewound. I do not understand it. And that's something that a judge is going to have to explain to me. Because, you know, like, I don't see how you couldn't formulate a reversible game state. Like, let's say Brody played a card. That's not irreversible. I don't give a fuck. He played a card. Guess what? He can put that shit back in his hand. He can pick a card to discard. He can play it again. Now, if he played a second card, then okay, knowledge is gained and okay. Sure. But from my knowledge, it was one card played after Enigma drew up, and that's when warnings in gym would be great. I'm glad somebody agrees. At time, the investigation or call can be lengthy and players' competitive thought processes is interrupted. My biggest thing with the slow play ruling, as I've never seen anyone get a game law. Yeah, exactly. That's what I said, Vero, where like literally I don't think anybody's ever gotten 2 warnings until last weekend. I also think it's fine as a community to say something is absolutely. If you think something's fucked up, say it. And that's how rules get changed. Right? A true fab collector's dream, collecting every infraction. Oh man. LSS needs to do something because having a high caliber player becoming or being constantly in spotlight. Yeah, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. I can understand this whole ordeal is very important. Has there been precedent, sorry, to how much no, this I mean, yeah, there was the CNC, the UK pummel, the old UK pummel. You really think they'll respond? I am very confident they will. The community is I don't know if it'll be an official announcement. All I'm saying is somebody from LSS is going to address it. That in my opinion, it would be I don't know. This is one of those situations where it would be wild not to, is all I'm saying. You got to give them time to come up with a good answer, but like, yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations where if they don't address it, every single post they make for the next year, it's going to be some shit post about slow play or what. Like, This shit's not gonna stop until it's like brought up. And then even after it's brought up, it's gonna happen for a little while. That's just something that we're gonna have to understand. Just tuning in, but genuine question: how do you call a judge for slow play? Well, that's that. I'm gonna be 100% honest. That's always been my weakness. I don't think I've ever called a judge on a player. I have only ever called judge, and I actually drew on my way to top 8 Nats, and it actually knocked me out of top 8 because of the draw, because I was not willing to call that. It was not intentional, I believe. I just didn't want to put my opponent in that position because I'm really nice, and that's a weakness that I have, me personally. Jokes aside, do I play Masculine Lynx and Aggro Mirror as Fi? Probably Lynx if you're playing Fly. Sorry, but I think you're playing too slow. I'm gonna call a judge. I mean, that's the great way to do it. It is so mad that the southern accent's getting worse. Oh no. Oh no. I lost my spot in chat. I'm so far behind. Holy shit, chat. Sorry if I missed somebody. I'm really trying here. We should adopt Yu-Gi-Oh! Infraction system. I don't know how that is, but sure, sounds cool. Keep in mind, frame rule work for rule set is 5 years old. Sure, maybe it's time for some innovation. I think it should be both players' responsibility to keep games staying. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. Nathan, let's play a game IRL with chess clocks for content so everyone can see how stupid that idea is. Josh, that's a fantastic idea. Next time we're together, we'll do it. You have a chess clock? Fab most wanted. Oh, man. They're not quite sure I'm at the sharking level yet. How is chess clock so complicated? Because look at a fatigue game, right? In a fatigue game, 90% of the time is spent on the person trying to kill the fatigue player. So if you have a chess clock system, you're fucked, right? Because that's just how it is. That person is literally just blocking. There's no thought well, yes, there's like knowledge of what to block and shit like that, but like you come to those decisions really quick, right? No comment other than Nathan, you rule. I appreciate it. Appreciate the love. Let's see. So that was a judge failing? I don't know. I honestly do not know. I don't know if it was a failure. I'm just saying that I, as a player, do not understand why it could not have been rewound. That's it. From my understanding of the situation, the only reason they didn't rewind was because the judge caught it, not his opponent. That's the stupidest fucking rule. I don't give a fuck if a zebra caught it. It doesn't make any sense. It was caught. And Noah made a great point in their podcast. Well, the whole process, if I'm a bystander and I see it as a spectator, and the rules say I cannot interfere with the game. I'm supposed to call a judge and tell them. And then they walk up and they say, "Oh, that's what happened," right? That's fucking stupid. Either that's not the rule because it's fucking stupid, or it needs to be changed. It's that simple. Nathan Brody already was a meme for a slow play. Yes. I inadvertently started the charge on that right after the 10-minute raiding block from the 20K event. I basically mentioned at the end of 2023 that the worst thing for the broadcast for Flesh and Blood was slow play. Started a whole debate within the community. Holy shit. Okay, Brian already put out a tweet. I saw one that was retweeted from like 2024. So I don't know if you know. I haven't read the tweet. We need slow play compact. No mercy. Call that judge if they are playing slowly. I mean, you're right, Pat. You're 100% right. It's just people like me, man. I'm just like easygoing. Hell, I do not recommend this. This is not something I'm recommending for all of you to do, but it's just who I am, man. The whole weekend, I played the calling 12 rounds, made day 2, and I think I cut a deck 4 times. I declined every deck cut the whole way. I do not recommend that. It's probably stupid, but I just trust people. I like, it is what it is. Hell, one time I played against Noah Bagelman and he tricked me into cutting his deck because it was actually hilarious. Like I kept saying, "No, you're good, and then you're good, and then he just started like not offering it, which I was 100% cool with. And one time he just forgot and like put it forward, and I was like, "Oh shit!" My brain just like triggered, and I was like, I'm supposed to do something here, and I just cut it for like a random reason. So it's just I trust people. Like I expect the best in people, and it's just that's probably a little bit naive, and haven't been playing card games long enough. Probably is, but it is what it is. Let me get caught up. Sorry, we're gonna move past this topic here in a little bit. We have to go over card prices, day 1 events, things like that. We got to take this same approach and discuss that because a lot of people are mad at a lot of things that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Sorry, there's so much in chat. I'm gonna have to skip some of it. I think it's people just talking about what actually is slow play. Okay. We're finally where it stops scrolling. Do you think the game has a big cheating problem? No, I do not think it has a overgrown cheating problem. I think it's just situations come up, and it's a smaller community, smaller niche game, so everybody knows about it, right? Market watch. Oh my Lanta. I would bankrupt everybody in here. I'll keep that one to Staxel. Okay. Head judge posted on the judge Discord and reaffirmed the decision was corrected and the incident was reported to LS. I mean, I don't know what. I don't think it was corrected. Or you mean like they were told that they made the wrong decision corrected? Or I don't understand that entirely. I'm sorry. But the game does not have an overarching cheating problem. No shot. I'm almost caught up. Just chiming in, but I really hope something comes of this. I think it will. I think it will. I have faith. I have faith. My opponent offers me their deck, then I will cut it. I mean, that's what you probably should do. I don't know. I'm just easygoing. Okay. They posted that it was correct and for people to complain to LSS if they feel otherwise. Okay. So they made the appropriate ruling and the ruling is just dumb. Easy. In my opinion. I'm not the arbiter of truth. I don't claim to be, it just doesn't make sense that because a judge corrects something, you can't correct it. Doesn't make any fucking sense. Somebody that's a TCG rules expert want to enlighten me, I'm all ears and willing to learn. But I gave my suggestion on what I think a good solution is, and that is once again repeating it. basically keeping a record on players that is accessible for judges and gym. Warnings carry over. That way, if somebody was to get 2 slow play warnings in the course of 2 months, the next time that it happened, they would get an immediate game loss if it was also for slow play. And then have a system where they can like drop off over X amount of time. That way we can actually get people to learn and understand that the more they fuck around, the more they find out. So let's move on to card prices on release day. Let's talk about it. Okay, so we had an event. Prices were exorbitant, right? I saw an Azuri deck list that somebody sent me, and it was like over $2,000 due to basically a rush to get. I guess before we dig into this article, which is a very important article that has a lot of data points that we have to discuss, let me explain the economics of the situation on a set dropping the weekend of basically the weekend of release, right? We have an event, everybody. Okay. So, Econ 101, there is supply, right? And then there is demand, obviously. And the market can evolve in a way to where it can basically there's 3 decisions in which buying something or what is it? It's time, opportunity, and cost. Yeah, those are the 3 things I think. Oh god, it's been a while. There's 3 decision points on buying something, and that is time, opportunity, and cost, right? So if you don't have a lot of time to make your purchase, you have less opportunity, which costs more money. Okay? If you have more time, then you have more opportunity or time to basically execute that deal, which doesn't always mean you get a better deal, but there's more likely of an opportunity for that to happen. Okay, so basically what happens when LSS has a set release on the same weekend as a an event, release the same weekend as an event, then basically you completely strip the power from the player base on when they want to engage in the market, right? There are a lot of players, including myself, that like to wait out, let the prices drop because, everybody's hyped up and the prices drop. And then, when stuff releases, Majestics are $10, $15 a piece, and then they go down to like 13 cents. Happens all the time in every TCG ever, right? Nothing new. And then, but you remove that ability because competitive players need to be competitive, and you basically essentially hand over a monopoly type situation where the vendors have all the control over the situation. Now, please listen to what I'm about to say. It is not the vendor's fault that Shelter was a fucking $100 that weekend. Okay? They had an asset. The market determined X was the value. And they sold it for that value. That's not their fucking fault. That would be the same thing as me holding on to some Fi card. Fi takes down the world championship and it doubles in price the next day. Am I morally obligated to sell it at the old price? Fuck no. We're getting we're getting those bags, right? Like, they have obligations to their company, they have obligations to their employees. Like, literally. And we can't just sit there and say that like the vendors are the problem when that's not the case, right? If anything, thank God the vendors are there, because you literally would not have a card if they weren't, because you wouldn't be able to get the boxes. And one thing that I wanted to kind of also mention was the Min-Max article. And they literally said prices are going to be higher unless you absolutely need the cards. Please don't buy them. They literally said prices will drop. Do not buy them unless you absolutely need them. So they did everything in their power to warn like everybody that like this is the situation that's happened, right? And this is how to like have it affect you the least. Which 100% is way less than I would ever expect anybody to do. So hats off to Min-Max Games, because they didn't have to do that. It was a requirement. Nobody asked them to do that. So shout out to Peter and his team. And yeah, like that's just how it is. So anybody that's mad at vendors, please, please, please understand the situation. They have something that is temporarily worth more money, therefore they sell it for that much. And they have zero, and I mean zero, moral obligation to sell it for less. Period. No ands or buts about it. Right? Now, let's talk about the other part. The fact that the end of the equation is us getting fucked, right? Because now we're having to buy shelters for $100 or whatever, and then they drop to like 70. Whereas if we didn't need them that exact weekend on release, we could have saved $30 a pair, or $30 a piece. What are some ways that they could maybe fix that, right? And also, it might be a reason that they're doing that. Let's play some scenarios out. What if sorry, yeah, thank you for putting that in chat. If they sell for less, people will just scout. The market is the market. You can't change that. Thank you for putting that in there. You are 100% correct. I missed some chats. Top tier commentary. I appreciate it. Great casting. Hope to see you at the desk again. I hope to be there as well. It was a blast. You were very good on coverage. Casting that Vis game was one of the highlights of the weekend. I appreciate it. Means the world. So what are some of the reasons that LSS would have an event on that weekend? Well, once again, I'm not saying that this is what happened. I'm just throwing scenarios out there that could possibly, what if there was a situation where, because you have to have vendors at events. It is like catastrophic if you do not. They are literally a necessity. Literally. Interesting enough, they are a necessity that has to pay to be there, which makes it even more interesting. Okay. So there could have been a situation that developed where they had the tournament organizers had a hard time renting out the vendor booths. And once again, I'm not saying this has happened. I'm just saying this is a correlation that would make sense on why there are more events on release day. Okay. So LSS, there could be a situation where like they need to make it more lucrative for vendors to show up because they are a necessary piece, right? And a very effective way to do that is have events on release day. And once again, I'm not saying that is what is going on behind the scenes. I'm just giving an example on why it would happen. And that would be a great way to incentivize vendors to back TOs because they're renting space, making it obviously making it more affordable for TOs to organize the event, and it's just a big circle, right? And so that's one thing. But if that is the reason, there's probably better ways to do it. You could like subsidize the vendor booth fee or something like that. Like, I think there's better avenues if it is something like that. But at the end of the day, holding the event on release day is really costing the players an exorbitant amount of money. It is going to the vendors, that's fine, but it's not an ideal situation, especially because a fucking Azuri deck costs $2,200. And one of the biggest things about Flesh and Blood currently that is a point of contention for newer players and veterans alike is the price point. Weakest link being 80 fucking dollars. Shelters being more than that. Whatever codex is being $100 cards. I mean, there was a while where fab decks were dropping in price, but man, they have just ballooned in the past, like, I don't know, 4 months or so. Maybe more people were playing. I don't really know. So, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. I just know that it's not good. It really it it drastically affects the meta whether you want to believe it or not. I think there's a lot of people that actively would play one thing but can't because they don't want to drop $150 a card or whatever the case may be. So it literally manipulates the meta because of temporary pricing. And during that season, it's even worse because now it used to feel like really good to be the first country up because you get to like set the tone for the season. US first week, we get to like break open the meta. Like, it was exciting. But now it's like, fuck, we're first. And it sucks because now we have to pay a 30% premium on all our fucking cards from the new set, which is not cool. They can break the meta. Let me save 30%. Okay, let's keep it 100. So yeah, don't like it. Don't like it. The point of this conversation was I just don't want people to be mad at the vendors. They have done absolutely nothing wrong. Cool. Easy. All right. Let's talk about one last thing, and then we're going to go into the tier list or what's left of it. Okay. Now we talk about the casting. I had an absolute blast. All of the feedback that I got was like overwhelmingly positive. I got one really good point of feedback that I 100% agree with, and that is I kind of went easy on the jokes, and that was very intentional. It was my first time. I didn't want to like overdo it. I was worried about like crossing that line, so I did hold back. And I apologize if anybody was expecting more. But if I ever get the opportunity, maybe I can fit a couple more in there. But I gave you a good one at the end that a lot of people seem to enjoy. But yeah, it was just an absolute blast. And one thing that I wanted to bring up, everybody knows like how hard Ethan works. But I don't think they do. And not just Ethan, but the entire crew that works. Um, my interpretation, my idea of what happened in that realm of Fab has just been the lid has been blown off of it. There is so much work that goes into from the casters to Ethan to getting everything set up, checking so many. But there's a ton of stuff. So if you ever get the opportunity to say that you appreciate or can support Ethan and the casters and Sam or any of those crews, just please do it because it is a lot. It is a lot. Do not take that for granted, please. It's a lot of work that those people put in, and they deserve all the praise in the world. Okay. So that's kind of all we wanted to cover on the. Let me skim through chat, kind of catch up a little bit. Next set releases on US Nats Day 0. Unfortunately, delay new set legal for major, but you can't do that because then nobody's hyped about the tournament. That's the problem you run into. I agree with you that it's a valid solution. The problem is that now nobody cares about US Nats season. It's just a dull meta. As a Runeblade main, I don't like when my opponent plays Shelter against me. That's fair. That's fair. I'll be honest, if LSS has to subsidize the vendors because their business model is not successful to cost of players, I don't know. It's a good faith argument. I mean, that's fair. That is 100% fair. Like, I guess at that point it would be like too far gone, right? And you're just like, I don't know. That's fair though. I got another game around Tails, and I still haven't bought a set of CNC because of the price. Exactly. And CNC's actually dropped. I think it's down to like $60, $70. It used to be 120 easy all day. So is Prism the best deck? We're about to get into that. Max back in S tier, but definitely not. Definitely not. Nobody expects you to be funny. Don't worry. There, that wasn't funny. I also hold back dad jokes on camera, Nathan. See, somebody understands. Okay. I think the problem is not enough product is being opened over a long period of time. You're talking to the wrong person on that one. The whole weekend was awesome to watch, which made my weekend. I appreciate it. Nathan, are you going to London in April? And if so, are you going to cast or play? Currently, I have nothing in the realm of casting for London. Currently, I believe I will be able to go to London, but currently I will be playing. The whole weekend. Yep. LSS is holding supply for a bit to drive demand on sealed boxes. I think that's speculation. I don't know anything about that. A solution could be allowing proxies. No proxies ever. I agree with Vero. Thoughts on the moon landing? I have not landed on the moon. Can you rate Arachne low so that the things drop? Definitely not. I will say that Dash versus Endgame was no time zone was crazy. That was a good one. Okay. I think we're caught up. Finally. Okay. Let's move over to the tier list where everybody can just absolutely flame me, and that's okay. It's what I signed up for. Okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that C tier stands for Cindra, right? That's what everybody's gonna roast me on. Okay, so first things first. If I were to change things today, where would I put Cindra? And I'm gonna keep it 100. I think Cindra probably goes in the ballpark of like bottom of A. I'm being 100% honest. There could be a world where it's even top of B. If I'm being 100% honest, I think that people are. It's a unique concept with the well, it's not unique, but like flick knives, mask of momentum, interaction to continue the hit on the chain link is something that players are going to have to learn and develop strategies against. Okay. And they have not had time to do so, and they will. Okay. So, with that being said, when people do realize what this, there has to be a solution for Cindra. Okay. I don't know what it is. I don't think it has anything to do with, you know, banishing the kunais or anything like that. I think it's literally just, I, I think it's knowing how to work around mask momentum in that situation or blocking her out. There's no ceiling. And then you also have disruption, right? I mean, I think this is what I see happening. Cindra's going to have a really, really solid 2 weeks in RTN season. Like, so good, she probably wins the most RTNs, right? Uh, like, literally. She'll be like, have the top number of wins for like 2 weeks. But then we're going to see like a drastic drop. And it'll continue from then on. And basically, what I anticipate is players will learn, players will innovate. And is she C tier? Of course not. Of course not. She's C tier. But I do not think that she's S tier. I do not think neither is 5, probably. Now that we're seeing the meta develop in the way that it is. But all the rest, I feel very confident in. I know it's a point of contention for Zen because he had a lower conversion rate to day 2. Once again, I think that is more so unfamiliarity against the assassins and how to approach that matchup, and understanding how mid-range the Zen list needs to be. And once that gets tailored, he'll be right back there. Plain and simple. That is my opinion. So that's kind of, I would basically take Phi down to probably B tier and then move Cindra up to bottom of A. Is like the two things that I would fundamentally change. Now, let's also talk about the other kind of elephant in the room, and that is Kano, right? And Kano, I think, is accurately placed, or maybe C tier at best. And you might be thinking, how is that when there was 2 in the top 8? And I'll explain. I had a conversation with Peter Budensek, where very, very respectable Kano player, and he basically said that the only reason he brought Kano was he expected everybody to just disrespect him, and that's exactly what happened. And Kano did well. Well, guess what? Immediately at the Battle Harden the next day, they didn't disrespect him, and he wasn't anywhere at top 8. So I think that it was a great deck for that day. But as we go down the road, I think it's a bad pick, plain and simple. And Josh made a funny a funny joke about how we should have like a Kano meter that's on a website that just like measures how much people are disrespecting it, and just watch it just should you put in AB and stuff like that. It was pretty good. That would be hilarious. We need to get that on Fabry. We need like a Kano meter. Nathan always agreeing with you? Nah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. What if LSS just gives all of his cards for free? What if? What if? LSS is honestly stuck between a rock and a hard place. A big part of the game is value retention. That means poor accessibility. Yeah. I would say that LSS or Flesh and Blood as a whole is more resilient to accessibility issues because it is a more competitively driven game, which means the player base is more willing to invest more money into it. I'm not saying that it's a good thing. I'm just stating the fact that it is more resilient than, say, other games from a competitive basis. LSS is honestly, yeah, we already went over that. Can you make a lower tier for Tekla? We could. It's okay, Nathan. It's not the first time you put a hero in C tier. To hide the fact that it's S, I lost to I didn't play. I literally, I said I was playing Viscera. I played Viscera. I got 19. I don't know like how more transparent I can be. Nobody on the team, nor the team we tested with, brought Cindra. Like, I got no reason to lie. It's literally that simple. I've never lied about a tier list ever. It just turned out I was a little wrong. Cindra being C tier is still fair. It's not like one tourney means anything. That's fair. Prism S tier. Prism will be like A tier for a short period of time until people realize Cindra's really not that good, and then she'll immediately drop. So basically, wherever Cindra is good, Prism is good. And when Cindra drops, Prism will drop. It will be strongly correlated together. So I may or may not have just bought 3 CNCs after he said there were 70 now. Been waiting so long. Well, congratulations on your play set of CNCs. Right where he belongs. No need to bring AB to anything. Reintroduce Frostbites. I mean, y'all can do them. Cindra A, Phi B, Fang C. Yeah, that's what I would do. I agree. That's exactly what I would do. See, Stefano knows. Remember Shelter from the Storm? Instant discarding prevents flick knives from hitting. Continue. Absolutely. Just block 6. Sin Summit. Playing Redline, Arctic Incarceration. I'm telling you, bro, the Cindra players are going to get fucked up this RTN season. But not till week 3. They're going to be fucking other people up the first 2 weeks. Nathan needs to go check out memes tab on the Alabama Discord. Oh, I cannot wait to see how I got roasted. No, I still think Aurora's bad. I got to disagree on that one. We make best. Yeah. Swap Cindra, Phi, sure. I can get on board with that. I don't think she's I think she's more like bottom. I would just put her at the bottom. I'm not an Aurora believer currently still. Let me see if I can actually. I think it actually saves the last one that you do. Let me see if I can find it real quick, chat, and we'll actually like make the changes. Let's do that. Flesh and Blood Hunted. The problem is I have to find the exact same one. Meta tier list, sure. Heyo, let's go. Presentation mode. We did it. We did it. Okay, so the changes I would make is probably put Cindra like around here, put Phi here, put there, probably move Verdance up a little bit. Got me thinking I'm a little bit of a believer, and then move Prism up to probably there. That's probably the changes I would make. Azalea's going to poke her head out because Cindra's trying to do her thing, and Red Ledger just makes that game a literal joke. I think Enigma is going to innovate, believe it or not, and that matchup's actually not going to be horrible once they actually know what they want to target. Same thing for New. The Assassins just need to know what they need to target. That's the main piece missing, and that's where it's going to go. I think Jarl's gonna get a little bit of an uptick, so probably put him there. And then I think that's kind of I tell you what, this was for Aaron. We're gonna give some respect on Dio. Not a lot, but you know. I tell you what, Aaron. That's for you. Is Aaron here? I thought I saw him. Ira is a meme. I don't know about that. I'm telling you, people are gonna figure out that you can just block Cindra. I know this is a crazy concept. You don't have to fight her back. Just throwing that out there. You lying about this one, Ella? Putting Kano in D tier? Okay. He's probably like C. I'll give him that. He's a little bit better than. Oh, but he doesn't have Codex. See, in my defense, Kano was actually in C tier, and then like I had the meme of like moving up Arachne because he had Codex or whatever. Sure. Kano meter would be so funny. Yep. I gotta put Verdance above Dio. I mean, after y'all's game, right? Aurora worse than Ben said is wild. I don't know. I kind of like it, Shamir. Especially because as people are targeting Cindra, a lot of that stuff is inadvertently going to target Aurora. Whereas Vinny wants to block. Building Fang as a backup. Nate, where do I file my class action lawsuit for being a warrior player? Well, you have to. I think Josh is the one that's currently putting it together and going to initiate the litigation on that one. So you'll have to contact him. Were you dual wielding 4-packs on Saturday? Is that what happened? I'm basically playing whoever's in C2. That's a good one. Oh, that's a good one. Riptide is bad. We need to stop this cope. I don't think he's bad. I really don't. I'm gonna hang on. Oh yeah, where did Slippy go? Poor Slippy. He's just gone. Get him in there. Heyo. All right, we'll do it like that. Just so Vero shut the fuck up. Y'all eat Cindra for breakfast. Yep. You know he's best one. Theo loses to 60 Titan bobbles. Stop it. All right. I don't know about that, bro. That's kind of fucked up. That's kind of fucked up. Hey, Aaron is in the chat. Good to see you, boss. Congrats on the weekend. You killed it. Hills have eyes too. You just gonna bring that up ever since we talked about it? Oh man. Time to riot, chat. He moved Olympia to D tier. Yep, everybody pick up your 8-packs and get to screaming. Ask Josh how sealed went. Oh man. You really think Olympia is better than Codex? All right. God, the meme continues. I feel like I'm getting pressured into it. This is verdant slander. I mean, they were kind of onto something. I don't know if it was matchup derived or I'm interested. I'm interested. No, this is not for RTNs. This is not. This is just like how I would edit what I previously had. But what I want to do is what I always do for RTN season. Okay, if there's any way that I can help you with your local meta in your deck building decisions or anything like that, I need context. So now is the time. Post it in chat. It can be questions like, there's a bunch of illusionists. What the fuck do I do? You can say, I can play Zen or Viscerite. This is my local meta. What would you recommend? Questions, anything like that, where I have context on the situation and I can basically try and help you. I will give you the best advice that I possibly can. I can't guarantee it to perfection, but I'll just do the best I can. But any way that I can help you as you are prepping for your RTM, because this tier list does not make a lot of sense for a lot of people's RTNs. You're going to see something vastly different, right? Because some, like, you know, some people are just going to play max, right? Curtis still here? Some people just going to play max. And, you know, it is what it is. And that's just the local meta, right? So let me know. Give me some context. Let me know your question, and I'll do my best to help you. Feel free to drop it in chat now. What version of Riptide do you think is A tier? I think it's the aggro one. Slippy slipped through the cracks. He sure did. Why is Bolton B tier? Dual building Bolton. It's the truth, Jason. Trust. Trust. Believe. And B for Bolton. Why is Slippy A? Why isn't Slippy A is the question I would beg. Prism definitely needs to be A. Yeah, no, so the problem is right now I agree with that statement, but I think that in 2 weeks I'm trying to make a tier list that kind of finds the middle ground. So right now, yes, I believe Prism is A tier because Cindra is good. But halfway through RTN season, people are going to figure out how to play against Cindra. She's going to become less popular. And guess what? Prism's going to become way worse because people are going to be actively blocking and things like that. And it's not something that Prism really wants, especially because the loop is way harder now. So that is that's why she's at the top of B, is because of that anticipated drop halfway through RTN season. But right now, 100% agree with you. You have locals? Yes, it's 16 chickens in the backyard. I have to drive an hour and 15 minutes to get to an armory. And that's like 60 miles an hour the whole time. That's not traffic. That is not traffic. Oh, man. I have tons of Betsy, Max, and Katsu in my area. What? Register any Flesh and Blood deck is what you should do. If you have Betsy, Max, and Katsu, just register anything with 80 cards and you'll do just fine. Got any recommendations on what direction Fi Bill should go in general? So like basically what Fi has historically done, 10 to 15 blues, put all the good starters in. You can play around with, you can decide if Engulfing Flame Wave is worth it with the Ignite situation. Obviously, try and play off of an Arsenal unless they're blocking you out, but you kind of want to be immune to that CNC disruption kind of stuff because you don't have to set up with the Art of Wars like you used to. Aspect of Tiger Body is amazing in Vi. I can play Assassin, Ranger, or Wizard. My meta is Victor, Jarl, Dio, Cindra, Viscerai, Vincent. Okay, so all the heroes. No, I'm just kidding. And a few assassins. And your options are Ranger, Assassin, and Wizard. Um I think out of those, is it's gotta be Assassin, probably. But also keep in mind, it's gonna be dependent on which one you're more comfortable with. It's gonna be a big factor there. Running Prism slash Enigma Mario. Okay. Local meta pivoted to Cindra this week after Memphis. We have some good Vis and Assassin representation as well. Um, so I would run Prism. If you want to pick on the Cindras, play Prism, hit them with Heralds. We saw what happened to the Battle Harden. Had the absolute worst start on the planet, still got there because it's that much of a favorite matchup. To be honest, at the moment, all heroes +1, -1 tier are closer than before. I agree. I agree with that. I think Yarl is C tier as much as I want him to be good. Resolve Arctic Incarceration Red into Cindra, and you'll see just how good he is. If I had a nickel every time someone said it was a Riptide meta, I could buy at least a draft armory or the bottom left corner of a shelter. Nah, this is Riptide's time. I'm telling you. This is it. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. But you're so right. We have 2 Kanos in my RTN meta and a bunch of Aurora. Is there a way I can target aggro without losing to Kano? Um, Aurora. I would go Viscerai and run the headpiece and tell him to get good. The TR. Is Iris still good? She's fine. She's not like breaking the game, but she's fine. I usually play slow fatigue decks, Teklo, Jarl, Dash, but my meta seems to be leaning towards Cindra, New, Enigma, Mario. Should I join them, or you think I can make my decks work? I think the only one viable in that group that you mentioned is Jarl, because you do have an angle against Prism and Cindra, so you just have to play the gym lottery and hope you don't play against Viscerai or Enigma. But Jarl would be your best bet. If you're a Guardian, how do you deal with New and Enigma? Or can you give me win-loss ratio so I can adjust my deck for RTN? Win-loss ratio against Enigma, if you are very, and I mean very, skilled pilot on Guardian. If you're on Victor, it's probably in the realm of 70-30 in favor of Enigma if you're really good. And then Jarl, it's literally like a 90-10 in favor of Enigma. As far as you said, New can actually be a very skill intensive matchup. I don't think it's an auto loss, especially with Jarl, because he doesn't run those big blue attacks. So that is just it has a lot of skill expression in that matchup. I do think New is favored, but it's not by like an exorbitant amount. Five Assassin, 2 Azalea, a few Dios, 26-man RTN. Can I play Zen, Aurora, or Cindra? refuse to redline. If you're not gonna do the red line, I would go Zen. That would be my decision. In fact, whether you were refusing the red line or not, I would still pick Zen in that meta. Here's my situation. My local meta will be a lot of Zen, some Aurora Ninja. I can play Enigma without Flexors and Shelter, Prism without Library and Gem, or Warrior any style. You said there's a lot of Zen, some Aurora Ninja. Uh, without Flexors. Flexors is big for Enigma. I'd have to give it to Prism. Shouldn't be taking Warrior, obviously. Yeah, I would give it to Prism. Because Enigma would be the overall better choice in that situation. But I think the flexors are really important. Not necessarily the shelters. Shelters aren't that huge of a deal, but the flexors are like it. I'll put it this way: if you can get the flexors, Enigma. If not, Prism. My locals are a lot of Auroras, Jarls, Assassins. I have cards to make any warrior, guardian, verdants, or budget Kano. No gem. What do? And thanks for the help. Let's see. Auroras, Jarls, and Assassin. And you can make any. Well, there's no ninja. So I would say Verdance or Guardian, whichever one you have more reps on / a better deck. I feel really solid with KO and Jarl, but I also have Zen. I don't know what kind of meta our team will be because most of ours is people from farther away, can't decide what to bring. I think overall Zen has to be the best pick out of those three. Would Enigma be the best option? I really don't feel comfortable with Prism. Yeah, I think Enigma, you were the same person with the flexors. If you could get the flexors, Enigma is technically the best option. I do agree. Those chickens must be some fierce competition. I tell you what. And all of them play Runeblade, I tell you what. What heroes do you recommend for RTN season with local meta of Assassin and Ninja? Viscerai. Yeah. Viscerai, unless you are like. Actually, Azalea wouldn't be bad either. Or if you could play Riptide. Have you cooked with Katsu at all? Hell no. Is new positioning based on CYB or non-CYB? It is non-CYB. I am a CYB hater currently. Who's Vincent? My local meta is all ninja and assassin. I have Bolton, Riptide, bring Riptide. Period. I didn't even have to read the rest. But seriously, I think out of those, the answer is Riptide. Assuming. Is it aggro or fatigue? How many more expansion slot cards do Teklo and Katsu need to move out of D? They need like a whole set. That's what he needs. The problem is, yes, every class is expected to get an expansion slot card every set. And then obviously the classes within the set get like a bunch of support and it just rotates, right? But they need it's not a one card problem for those heroes. I can either play Dio or Aurora. And my local meta is very Runeblade Cindra focused. With a large lack of assassin. If you are lacking assassin, I gotta give it to Dio if you can play it really well. Please bring me Riptide's Prism main. Oh, that's Kevin. Congrats on the dub. Congrats on the dub. How should I prepare against Jarl when I'm playing Vincent? You should really work on setting up and executing a combo with either like Mordred Tide and Deathly Wells or whatever your strategy is for anti-fatigue. Do I still believe Rhinar is C tier? Oh, sorry, I may have missed one. Riptide just needs one more 3-block blue majestic. He'll be a real deck. I mean, we'll see. Can't wait for my main this RTN season. Aurora. You still believe Rhinar is C tier? I do. I just think Eugene is S tier. It's that simple. Eugene had me crying. He rolled a 1 on Scabbies, went and bought new dice. Shit had me crying. Actually crying. Like real tears. He rolled a 1. He said, this shit's broken. And just bought a new set of dice. It's the funniest shit. Oh, Eugene's the best. He's the GOAT. Eugene S tier, Rhinar still C tier. Is there a general play pattern versus Slippy as warrior? The problem is Slippy could do kind of whatever he wants, right? That's like the power of Slippy, right? Is just the unique ability to sit there and you have go again, you have reactions. I mean, the best thing I would recommend is have a D-react in arsenal ready, or you're gonna get put in some tough situations. I actually like that Ira doesn't break the game. I was a needle enjoyer, but I enjoyed her even before then. That's good. She is just consistent and has so many tools. Just about every matchup, she got more aggro. Absolutely. Even after Cindra is not that popular, the A tier list Prism favors every one of them. Well, first of all, you get dumpstered by Enigma, like absolutely shit on. So don't agree there. I think if people block correctly, I don't think these matchups are as good as. I don't know. Maybe I need to look into Prism more, but I currently, with the knowledge I possess, I don't agree. I don't agree with that statement. I see we got Prism and BT. See what happened was. Enigma is nearly an auto loss from most yeah, of course. Should I be more on Pummel build Enigma or 10k reunion? I think Pummel. You really think Fang is that far below the other warriors? Yeah. Probably. I don't think the Draconic card pool is that good. I could be wrong. Is Reiner still just a meme? Unless you Eugene, it is. Good to have you back, Nathan. What's up? Congrats, Austin, on the finals in the calling. Hate that it didn't go all the way, but still an amazing placement. Congrats. You earned it. If I could build any deck with only a couple weeks of practice, what would you bring, Cindra? I would bring with a couple weeks of practice. See, we got Prism and B tier. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Unless Kevin's on it. CYB stinky. Of course. Of course. You answered me above. I have cards to do all forms of Riptide. Currently built for fatigue. Also run any sort of Azalea. Yeah, I think Azalea or Aggro Riptide would be my preferred setup. My local meta there are at least 3 Jarls, 2 Viscerai, 1 Azalea, 1 Cindra, and these are the decks I remember at the top of my head. How should you prepare if you're playing Vincent? Viscerai, Jarl. You need to have planned anti-fatigue playing against Jarl. You need to the Viscerais, if they're good, are going to try to block you out, and you need to have consistency built into your deck. Reduce your efficiency a little bit, but increase your consistency, which means less on the blocking potential and more on envelop in darkness and things like that, to really increase the consistency. Make sure you don't break things like that. Classic Eugene. I'm telling you, when the dice is when the dice are broke, just get them out of there. Super late to the convo. Listening on delay, but we need an explicit rule on what constitutes slow play. I mean, that's just tough, right? Like, that is actually tough. Implement a clock like poker has. Well, the way poker does it is the opposing player calls for the clock, which currently we basically have the same system. We raise our hand for a judge that is calling the clock, and they respond. Probably asked too early before. I have Zen or Victor. Sorry if I missed your message. Played a lot of reps on both. Local meta is hard to gauge as it's varied by guessing lots of Vis, Cindra, Aurora, Zen, and some new in Enigma. In that spread, I would go Zen. I deadass think they should have brought a Riptide to 40 life now that Cindra gets to do damage like Riptide, but free. But it's on her turn, I think, is the difference. Call a judge. They give you time 60 seconds to act. If you don't auto pass, you get IP1. I mean, sure. My local meta play all the S&A heroes on your list, and I play brutes. Gonna have to switch to either Jarl or Ira. Well, if you're really good with brutes, maybe you can find a way to make it work. I have doubts. But if you're a specialist, don't downplay the advantage you get from that. I love shiny bling being expensive for my C tier heroes. Verdant and Acilio. Beautiful cards, though. How would you recommend a Phi tech his deck for the most relevant threats he'd struggle with most in super diverse room, assuming at least 2 of everything relevant except maybe Ranger? I don't think there's any, like, you can add more on hits. It's kind of the way that I would take it. Experiment with Engulfing Flame Wave and Ignite, and the combination of discarding it to fit the curve of the sword. Things like that. Just producing more on hit effects is the main thing that I would I would recommend. Nathan, Prism destroys Enigma. It's like 70-30 for Prism. Austin, I here's the situation. You obviously play way more Prism than I do, okay? And Enigma for that matter. But everything that I know is the complete opposite. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't have not a single basis to even begin to agree with you. is the problem I have. Usually like somebody makes a point and I'm like, there's been a couple cases where I like can see it, but I haven't seen it. And maybe I'm wrong and I'm willing to take that L. I've literally seen Pierre and Aaron just like 40 prisms all day. And I don't know. Shouldn't people just start running blue Battlefront Bastions for Cindra? I'm telling you, people are going to innovate for Cindra, and she's not going to be the talk of the town. I'm telling you, and that's a great example. I think Enigma is definitely tricky, but by no means unfavored matchup for Prism. Large ask of the Prism player. I mean, maybe I don't know. I just haven't seen it. You have about 10 minutes to spare. You can pick up Vis and take down some turn. That's some shade, okay? But can you pick up Vis in 10 minutes and get 19th at the Memphis Calling? No? Okay. Probably. Probably. Damn it. Okay. The meta changes extremely rapidly, especially before events. How do you handle that? It's all about speculation and what people expect, people's tendencies. You gain a lot of advantage if you can kind of predict what other people are going to be on based on their tendencies. Like they play aggro, so they're going to lean more toward aggro. There's a new aggro deck, probably going to be on Cindra, right? You can guess a lot of that and kind of forecast and then counter it correctly. Austin never unfavored Reddington. Kick Debbie. That's pretty good. I'll give you that one, Vero. That was a solid one. 7 out of 10. Is Zen still as good without wax on, wax off? Why are you not playing wax on, wax off? Is the question. I would beg to ask. I don't have whichever is the M. That would be wax. I don't remember either. Sure, the blue one. I've been playing KO and Jarl, and I know there will be some Runeblade and Assassin. In that spread, I would highly recommend Zen, but if you can't play Zen, I would recommend probably KO. Because Jarl's going to get stacked by the Runeblades and probably chewed up by the Assassins as well. I feel like I'd be better off with Jarl over Zen at this point. What would you say his worst matchups are besides Enigma? Viscerai probably would be the worst matchup for Jarl because they could just stack. What hero do you think has the most skill intensive mirror match? I'm gonna catch some hate for this, but I'm actually gonna go with Viscerai. I think the mirror is actually really complicated. Obviously there's some games where like you just high roll, but like I think a lot of it comes from like playing around Succumb or reducing the possibility of Succumb and things like that, or knowing when to lean into stacking, when to push, when to mitigate the risk. I think there's a lot more to it than people believe. But of course, that kind of gets diluted by sometimes you just draw Mordred Revel and you win, right? And that does happen. Or you're Noah and you just, Mordred me 3 turns in a row. Still a good game though. Had a blast. But boy, he got me. Tore me up. Mm, if they don't ban flick knives, can we get Crown of Seeds back? Good luck with that. I don't know if you know what you're asking for. How do you feel about Dawnblade Doring after Zen and Vis are gone? I think it gets worse because Zen countered slow decks by stacking on them. And then if Zen and Vis go, Enigma is probably going to be out the door quick. And then once Enigma goes, blocking becomes the meta, which is going to counter Dawnblade. That is my opinion. I just get home and realize I missed the entire revised tier list. Mara, you should have been here earlier. Just don't look at the Fang placement. Don't look. And in all defense, I haven't seen the new list yet. I was really busy yesterday and I could not watch Josh's stream as much as I wanted to. Everyone else plays bad Prism lists except apparently Kevin because he won. That's fair. That is fair. I'm so glad you commentated on the Battle Hardened top 8. I was the Vis player who should have practiced the Mario matchup more. Oh, well, it was a hell of a game, and thank you so much. I appreciate it. I hope I did it justice. And yeah, that's just one where, if I'm not mistaken, you had some D-reacts, but you were on like nowhere near like 8 or 9. I think you were on like what, just 3 shelters, if I'm not mistaken, maybe reduce tops. And that matchup, it's literally the more D-reacts you have, the better it is. Park it in Arsenal, and Enigma can never develop a board. Fanbrace says 100% won me games against Enigma as Prism. Help! I only have Warrior cards. What should you play at Warrior? Or what should you play at Warrior? At RTN, Warrior. You should play Warrior, Josh. I believe. But also, there's a draft this weekend. There's a draft RTN this weekend. Thoughts on Malefic in Aurora? Not a fan. Not a fan. Been playing the card in my list since I picked her up and love it every time I bring it into this. I mean, let me take a step back. I don't hate it. Like, you're getting 3 damage, you're splitting it. I understand the purpose of it. I just don't think it's good enough. Like, if you really think about it, Malefic is a fry. I guess Malefic is a fry that blocks 2 and it's evasive. Okay. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I gotta investigate it more though. But I see your idea. I think it. The fundamentals check out. I hate playing Warrior. I go to bed angry every night. Please. Man, I miss Dromai Mirrors. Man. They were actually pretty fun. Mara smoked me in that calling one time. I mean, it wasn't close. That was when I knew the difference between Redline Dromai and other Dromais in the mirror. Holy shit. Obviously, I'd only been on the deck for 2 weeks at that point, so obviously I was dead 3 ways to Sunday, but is what it is. Dromai mirrors were awesome if both Dromai players were good. It did kind of have Hearthstone vibes a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. Does Vis just run over Vincent? Vis puts Vincent in a lot of tough situations, and their deck can just brick while you're stacking rune chance and you can kill her. That's kind of the situation that I've found. Oh, I love Levia, just not into the field of assassins. I agree. For Fang placement, where would you put Dromai in this list? What? Uh, I mean, like, Dromai would go crazy in any meta, period. Any meta. My friend is heavy Prism player and had Pummel in his deck. That's wild. That is wild. Pummel and Prism is wild. Draft RTN near you, lucky. Especially for warrior players. Gives them a chance. Value Pummel isn't even a card anymore. Oh, Pummel isn't even a card. See what you did there. Oh yeah, that drove my mirror game. That was something. Everything will be at my RTN. I have Jarl, Kasai, and Enigma. 100% Enigma if you know how to play it. Not even close. If you can get the boots, it's great. Dropped frames right when reading my comment. Oh, let me go back. For Fang placement, where would you put Dromai in this list? Put Fang 1 to 1.5 tiers lower? Probably, for sure. Guaranteed. Oh, you dropped frames. Okay. um so Nathan, what are you playing this weekend? Well, uh funny story. I thought I was going to two RTNs this weekend. Uh, then I had a conversation with the wife. So we are not going to two RTNs this weekend. I got countered, basically. My triggers did not resolve. No, basically, there were some things that were planned that I completely forgot about. And just because you forget about something doesn't make it go away. So therefore, I still have to go to these things. So unfortunately, I will not be able to go to RTNs this weekend. I was planning on going to two of the closest ones. But if I was, of course, I'd be playing Viscera. Of course. Aetherize the second RTN. I'm not playing my RTN for a few weeks, but have access to Cindra, Aurora, Dio. What do you think? Honestly, it's the latter half, and my current prediction is that aggro is going to take a major hit around week 3, which is all of those decks. So just pick the best one that you're comfortable with. But my current prediction is that aggro is going to do really well for 2 weeks, aka Cindra, and then there's going to be a hard drop off. Is this the finished tier list? Yeah, this is like how we would revise it. No, kind of putting things together. The main change was we took 5, put it where Fang was, put Fang a little bit lower where Cindra was, and moved Cindra up. We do not think Cindra is S tier because it she's gonna win the most RTNs the first 2 weeks, hands down. She's gonna dominate, and then there's gonna be a strong drop off during week 3 is my prediction. How would you change the Yuki Syndra list if you were playing it? I wouldn't because I haven't looked at it. So I would not change a single card. Uh I've been busy ever since. So literally, I started a new job on Monday and we left Memphis at 9 o'clock at night, and it was like a 4 hour drive, and I had to be at work at like 7 in the morning that morning. Uh and then ever since then, I've been trying to literally recover from that event. So we've been trying to catch up on some sleep. So I have not had time to check into the winning deck list and things of that nature. I've just been in discussions around it. Can Fang not be bad? I mean, you're the only one standing between that. You got to figure it out. Deck is good the first 2 weeks. Don't fly in my region. This region's too sweaty for that. In a good way. I mean, but that's how it should. Oh, so you're saying it's going to happen faster, which is fair, and that's actually a really good point that you bring that up. That I'm using 2 weeks as an average. You could have a situation where people are going to show up to the very first week and like you know have an answer and they're going to dominate and just destroy all the Cindras, right? That's going to happen in some areas. But my guess is when the statistics will begin to back up that statement, aka where we will be able to identify a drop in Cinder's performance, basically. Um, so I have to make when I'm streaming, I usually have to make statements that like apply to the broad situation, because yeah, obviously. Heard from a little birdie, aka Josh, that you almost forgot your deck before Memphis. Funny story. So we're like loading everything in the car, and normally I just have like a luggage bag that you like take to the airport, and I have a backpack. That is like all I bring to all these trips, period. And we throw it in the trunk of Josh's car and we just go. But this time, Ethan needed the monitor, like a computer monitor for the casters because the TO didn't provide one or something like that. I needed my blazer, which had a garment bag, and there was like and I had to bring like an extra pair of shoes because I wanted to wear kicks with the jacket. So I brought like twice as much shit, and so I loaded it all in the car. I buckle up. He cranks the car. I look over. I'm like, let me go double check the car, make sure I grabbed everything. And my backpack was just sitting in the floorboard of my car, and we almost dipped out. And that would have changed some things for sure. It would have changed some things. What are Viscerai's worst matchups? I would say Zen. Obviously, Zen State Token, a bitch. And Cindra can be iffy, but the more you play against it, I think you can make that a little bit better. Everything else is fine. Yeah, Mara's trying to crack Fang, and when she does it, and like I said, I haven't seen the current version, but once I get to look at it, we can then talk about Fang. But currently, I'm just not sold on it. I'm just not sold. By the way, thank you a ton for this chance for questions. Of course, I like to do this just for anybody watching the stream. I always do this type of thing where I give you the chance to ask me questions about your local meta, what to bring for any RTN or ProQuest season. And the reason for that is I can make a tier list all day, but none of it could apply because there might be 15 warriors at your locals, right? And this tier list would actively hurt you, and I don't want that. So I want you to give I want to give you the opportunity to give me context to better answer your situation, because that's the most important thing for RTN season. This stuff here, the tier list that we're looking at, is super important for like callings and pro tours where the localized tendencies are drastically reduced, right? Um, so man, that's also something I need to bring. When you're looking at this tier list, please do not try to apply it to your RTN. That is not going to go well. That is not going to go well. Proof of concept is there, but it still needs some adjustments. Aggro matches still feel a little too coin flipping. Okay, but I've got a plan. Okay. gonna make it my own personal duty to make this deck good. I hope you do it. The slower matchups are really solid though. I'm assuming except Viscerai because he's like slow and kill you, right? Despite the Viscerai popularity, I am rolling into New Orleans this weekend with Enigma. I don't think Viscerai, contrary to popular belief, if the Enigma player knows exactly what they're doing, I don't think the matchup's that bad. How many pummels should I run in Vis if I'm expecting a Oh god. That has to be a shit post. How many pummels in Vis? Stop. Stop. Although pummeling a drawn is kind of hot. Ninth blade pummel? I see you. Actually, I've been able to race Vis. His ramp up time is about a turn slower than Fangs. Interesting. So what you're saying is I should play Vincent over Viscerai and New because I feel more comfortable with her? No. No. What I'm saying is that this tier list is a broad spectrum prediction. But let's say that there is everybody in your local scene plays Riptide. Well, then guess what? Enigma no longer is a good choice, right? Enigma would not be A tier. Enigma would be a D tier choice for your RTN. That's what I mean. It has nothing to do. Well, it does matter how good you are with it. But what I'm saying is that when I place things on a tier list, I place Viscerai here because he's good into a lot of these heroes. But if your meta doesn't have these heroes, he's not S tier. So that's why you have to look at the context of what you expect to be there at the RTN, because people at that level don't follow the meta as much, which throws off all the predictions, right? And makes it a little bit more difficult. Hope that makes sense. When in doubt, always play Vincent. That's good advice. I'm going into an unknown meta. So if you don't know, then this is like something like this would be your best shot for information. And that would be that a lot of people are probably going to be on Cindra. Cindra will be overrepresented at the beginning. They go from there. So what deck have the least polarized matchups? I'm assuming when you're asking that question, you're basically not giving a shit about your opponent, but you're asking polarized for you. And the answer to that question would probably be Viscerai or Zen. A little bit of a cop out, but I think it's true. There's no matchup that you just like auto get dumpstered. Zen into Prism is not where you want to be, so that's a little bit of a polarized one. But like, Viscerai's kind of got game into everything, to be honest. So maybe Viscerai is the best answer for that. I think in Fab, each tier represents about a 5 to 7% increase in average win rate probability, but being comfortable and skilled with the hero can add 20% or more, so calculate as needed. That is great advice, Mara. 100% agree. Absolutely. Why do you think Jarl is better than Victor? Arctic incarceration red. That is why. All right, I'm going to go about 5 more minutes answering questions that you may have in chat about your local RTN, and then I'm going to call it. Once again, I just like yeah, this weekend was awesome. 2 callings in one weekend, got to play one, landed 19th. Had a little bit of money from it. Had a good event. All my opponents were a blast to play against. Had just a good time taking the old purple man back to the card table, and yeah, just had a blast. And then I got to hop into the commentary booth, and that was even better. So a really good weekend. I enjoyed it. I had a ton of fun. Can I eat my locals shelter cards when they play them? You can, but it'd be the equivalent of eating shit caviar. Don't you think frailty is too punishing for dual wielding heroes? It is punishing. Is it too punishing? No. The way that you should approach that question is like, you know, like Mara's saying, you're only getting like two. Most of the time, it's two value. A lot of the time, or very seldomly is it more than two. Like Dory can swing three times, so you get three. But Bloodrot Pox literally gets two value no matter what. So there's not really that much of a difference. It just feels worse. Do, do, do. Frailty is more punishing to rangers than dual wielding heroes. That's fair. All right. I want to thank everybody for joining me, and I want to wish everybody the absolute best of luck at their RTN season. And I hope that all of you get your invite. Remember that in RTN season, it's top four. You do not have to win the event. Keep that in mind. So top four, you get your invite to nationals, and then also remember there are ELO invites that get passed down after that. If you qualify via top four, you do not consume a ELO invite in the process. So there's no such thing as getting. You can never waste an invite during RTN season. It will always get passed to somebody. Just an FYI. Google Doc on how to beat Prism with Assassin. Yeah. Oh man. All right. I think I'm gonna call it. I'm tired. Oh, we got one more question. I have a question about local RTN. I play Leviathan. I love it. Do you think it's good to focus in on a class to play the game, or start on a competitive level? This is a point of contention among the community. There are some people that will tell you becoming a specialist is a positive thing um for your competitive, future. And me personally, is Civ 7 out? I had no idea. Um Me personally, I started a specialist, aka Runeblade and Briar, and have since branched out. And I feel that I've grown as a player because I did so. So which I do not think is 100% correct answer. I think that the better route is to be a generalist, not a specialist. That is my opinion. And I don't think it's, 100% true. Goodbye from Iceland. Hell yeah. Thank you for watching and take care. Um, but it really just depends. I know a lot, like Josh is a great specialist, right? And it just, I think if you go specialist route, I mean, you got to go all in. And the problem is if you go specialist route, you won't even begin to see any type of benefit or reward until like 5, 6, 9, 12 months in, like depending on how quick of a learner you are and how much time you have. It's tough. It's tough. in 30 minutes. The 5-day early access starts. Holy shit. I'm gonna have to look up some reviews. I haven't seen anything about it. I didn't even know it was on the horizon. Generalist with some favorites. That could you just need to branch out some. It's super healthy, I'm telling you. It gives you a better idea of what other players are doing. Um, I think it's just really good for your overall competitive, your ability to be competitive. All right. Thanks everybody for joining me. Really do appreciate it. And I will see everybody next week after they get their